The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the expressed written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
stationed atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized.
It's Tuesday, May 1st, Wednesday, May 2nd if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, live from the Great White North in the Caribou region on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong nightly on WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, the United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live at spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, and you can catch us live on the Fringe FM. We are also live on Periscope.tv. Hello, Periscope. We are there every Monday through Friday if you want to catch this face for radio live. And you can check out our archives on YouTube. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that red subscribe button. I would appreciate that. Now, if you head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO Seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. It's been a good day. Well, not really. The day started off a little tragically around SOR headquarters. My little guy found our bunny Bruce kind of dead in his cage today. We're kind of sad about it. We lost a family member. That's never any good. I'm going to miss the little guy, to be honest. I'm going to miss him. I liked him. Did this cute little skateboard hopping around without a skateboard. It was really cool. So, Bruce, I know you're listening, buddy. I love you. And sorry you weren't around that long. But we got a show to do. Got to make it happen. Death in the family, that means we still got to keep going. Can't cancel the show. It's our one night of the month where we preach enlightenment on the spiritual you. We are joined by the talented and knowledgeable Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation, who comes in the first Tuesday of every month. Geraldine is a fresh new voice in everything from spirituality and inner peace to contact with extraterrestrials. A recently discovered experiencer the past couple of years, Geraldine uses her gifts and clinics to help people come to terms with what's going on with them. Helping people find the answers they need because of their experiences is what her goal and mission is now all about. She's a very respectable person. I've met her personally. Within this community, speaking at events such as UFOCon, where I spoke as well, it's always great to have Geraldine back on Spaced Out Radio, my beautiful friend from San Francisco. How are you doing?
Hi, Dave. I am fantastic and so happy to be here. Thank you so much for that introduction, and I hope everyone is having an amazing night.
Well, you know what? We're happy that you're here as well because, we couldn't really do this show without you. We really couldn't. You kind of make that happen. And, I'm holding it together. The family's a little bit upset. Today, you're a healer. You're an intuitive. You're someone who helps people with the mind, body, and soul. I had something today happen that I haven't had in a long, long time. Trying to explain death to my little guy who's 4 years old because he loved the bunny. He loved the bunny.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's so sad.
So I had to put Bruce in a plastic bag because our daughter, whose bunny it is, she bought him with her own money. She was out at school today. And, so we didn't want to interrupt her at school saying your bunny was dead. So we let her go through her school day. When she got home, I had the bag outside in the garage here, to make sure that, she had a chance to cuddle him one last time and so on and so forth. I think that's a responsible thing to do. But my little guy saw him again. And he was like, well, when's he going to wake up? And now I have to try and figure this out with the missus, that how do you explain it to a 4-year-old? Because he's like, is he dead? Well, yes, son, he is. Well, when's he going to wake up? Well, he's not really there anymore. And then I tried showing him today about, I put his hand on his heart, on his own heart. And I said, do you feel your heart going thump, 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 thump? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, Bruce's heart doesn't do that anymore. And you only get one heart. And I don't think it clicked in. I was just trying everything. I just don't think it clicked in.
Oh, my God. That's always the hardest thing to talk about is life and death, isn't it? That transition and being able to let go of that connection that the child has to the animal, to the little bunny. But I think that's an important lesson for children. So I think you did an amazing job, Dave.
Well, we're trying. But you know what? Bruce is in a good place. I just miss the little guy. He was a cuddler. He was just a cuddler, and I liked holding him. I'd get him from his cage, and he would snuggle right in. But that's okay. You know what? We were blessed to have him part of our family. We gave him lots of love. Everybody in the family gave him lots of love. So we were very blessed to have him. So now instead of 3 dogs, 2 cats, and a rabbit, we're down the rabbit. So it sucks, but that's just the way it goes. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it goes. So
right. Well, I hope your family is able to get through this time, and I know you guys are going to be an amazing parents for them, and hopefully they'll be able to integrate and accept what just happened. And, I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's okay. Did you have a brighter day?
My day. My day was very busy day. I had a lot of sessions, a lot of interesting connections, communications with clients. Wonderful day, though. Beautiful weather out here in California today. It was gorgeous, 70 degrees outside.
We were about the same. It was like 70 degrees up here today.
Wow, awesome. Well, at least the weather is good.
Geraldine, we always have a lot of new people coming in every time you're on. The audience is always changing. You are very new to this field. I mean, this is not something that you planned out even 5-10 years ago. You would have never seen yourself doing this. Explain to everybody how you ended up getting into this field and why it's really encompassed your entire life.
Sure. Well, in the field of spirituality, I've been in the field of spirituality for a long time. I've been in the field for about 12 years as a meditation instructor here in the Bay Area. And I teach corporate meditation. I've done that for many years, working with teams, groups of people, and trying to incorporate, mindfulness, stress release techniques, healing, empowerment, and most importantly, self-love for a very long time. But my journey changed a lot. I mean, aside from that, I was doing other more creative work. And for me, what changed things about in 2013 was the abduction that I had. I had an abduction, and I was literally taken out of my bedroom, and that's how everything completely changed. When I saw extraterrestrials in front of me and had that experience, it opened my eyes to something that I never imagined. And it really made me question our existence, my personal existence and my purpose here. And the more I learned about this and my connection with my experience through regression, the doors just opened, and I was able to understand things that I never even thought possible. I saw things about the universe, I understood, and more importantly, after my abduction, the ability to see the multidimensional body opened a whole new world for me, to be able to see humans and how they operate, the technology of their body, and what it means to us here. So that just brings spirituality to a whole different level, okay? And when you look at things, and when you have that eyesight, that ability to see beyond the physical dimensions and limitations of our physical body, then spirituality has a whole different meaning, because now we're talking about multidimensional bodies. So I think that was really the catalyst to changing my journey here on this planet and focusing and understanding the importance of integration, of waking up, of all of us waking up into our spiritual journey.
When you decided to go public to change your journey, you were into a very public career. You had a very successful building or business going on while you are going through this entire change spiritually. Even though you were a believer, this is where it really got in depth. Did you ever think that you would leave a corporate lifestyle rather than getting into this full time?
Well, yeah, being in the corporate world was that was my goal for the first half of my life, right? Being a successful career woman and having my own business was my dream, and growing that business into, sustainable for myself and my family. And of course, that was it. That was, once you get to that point, you're good, you're all set, and then you focus on retirement and the plan of taking care of your parents and your family and all that good stuff. So, when I first embarked on this journey, all of those illusions and ideas of what life should be kind of fell apart, Dave. I mean, it was like it's no longer real anymore, and I had to really question myself and kind of see what part of me needed that success, what part of me needed a journey to be in that cookie cutter way where everything was fitting into this perfect mold of our lives here on this planet. You work, you go to school, you graduate, you get an amazing job, and you just keep going and going. You have a family, and on and on. So I think what really happened was that kind of like a destruction of belief on many different levels. And when we talk about spirituality was like a duality to that. It was my work and career life, and then spirituality was something I did at home in my alone time or in my mind when I had a minute to take away from my work. And what I've learned through this journey is really the integration of spiritual life into my everyday life and becoming that spiritual person. So I think once you start merging those two aspects of yourself, I think things start to move. Things start to move, and you start to open new ways of interacting with the world around you, of communicating with yourself, with everything around you, and then the doors open into a new journey, which is often, if you're looking for your purpose here, it turns into your life work, and that's kind of what happened to me.
How were your family and friends reactive to you getting into this? Basically, selling off your business, everything that you have worked hard for, to concentrate on this.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, there was mixed emotions. I mean, my business was a very difficult business to be in, and I built that business with my own two hands by myself. And really, there were days where, I was breaking my back, working 3 days with maybe 2 hours of sleep. So it was kind of like a love-hate relationship for my family. My family would support the business, but at times, they saw how much work it took in order for it to be successful. And that was something that I was never afraid of hard work. But, family always wants to have the best, the most comfortable, to see you, living a nice, comfortable life, maybe raising a family with children. So it was difficult. I mean, with family, with friends, with partners, it took a long time to kind of get used to that cycle of life. And then once we got to that point, then it was time to make a change. So when we did, it was a new moment of readjustment that we had to go through. And I think a lot of us kind of go through that in our lives, where we are shifting through all kinds of experiences constantly. So having the support of family is so important. I mean, if you have friends and family that you see that are going through these kinds of transitions, it's always so important to be supportive to them and to provide them with, love, with, anything that they need in order to assist them on that journey, on that change. Because as you know, these kinds of changes, they can be very lonely, very tough. And I think we're not, with our everyday mentality, we're not equipped with the tools to be able to provide even support for our friends, because we don't even know how to handle that kind of a change. And but I think things are changing. I'm seeing a lot of amazing things happen around me, Dave. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of friends that are going into the holistic work. They're leaving their corporate jobs. They're getting into these more healthy work environments, leaving those toxic relationships and environments that don't nurture their soul, and making those tough decisions, So I think it's kind of like a learning curve that our entire society is going through right now, to kind of readjust to a new mentality. The way I like to think about it is that it's like we're coming into this divine feminine, this new energy of connection, of communication, of community, where we are now focusing on support and expansion instead of killing ourselves for the benefit of maybe organizations or something that we can't even see the results and the fruits of. So I'm hoping that's the direction we're going in, Dave.
Do you find a lot of people in the younger generations are starting to say, enough with the lifelong office dream, I got to live for me on a spiritual side and what feels for me, rather than the older crowd that say has already worked 25 to 40 years and that's all they really know? They sacrifice their family, their friends, their own achievements for work?
Yes, I'm actually totally seeing that. And as a matter of fact, I mean, some of these children that I'm looking at and meeting now these days are so beautiful. I mean, they are so much light. They are so connected, and they are just so genuine. And their sense of integrity and truth finding within them is just incredible. I mean, the choices that they make are very conscious, and they're not just conscious. The children are different. I notice different waves of children. As we know, we have our rainbow children, indigo children, different children that are coming up now. My siblings and my cousins, their mentality is different. It's more expansive. They're more focused on the greater good of things, even if they're in corporate jobs. And even within my own family, I have family members that are making those shifts now, that are making those changes into more holistic art, that are going into something that is good for a community, for consciousness, for people to wake up. And I see that a lot. I see that a lot in our community and the children. I also lead children's meditations. And in my group, I mean, the children that I interact with, I mean, we're talking about ages 5 to about 12 years old. These children, they're so awake. They're so connected. You just can't get anything past them. I mean, they are just so on it, and they are aware of all the things that are happening with a maturity level that is just astounding to me. And what that means is that, I mean, obviously technology does play a role in that because they have access to all this information. But at the same time, it's their ability to choose the information that they are filtering and their consciousness to process that is just so amazing. So I'm really seeing that our future with these children is so important, and our ability to connect with them and be able to provide them with the tools that they need to connect with themselves even further is really what we have to focus on. I mean, I am such a huge advocate at working with our children here, focusing on their education and teaching them all the things that we're trying to learn here, all of the spirituality, all of these things about chakras, connections, extraterrestrials, all these things. Like, our children need to have access to this so that they can make the choice about whether that's something that they want to integrate into their reality. You know, it's not about forcing things on them, but it's just amazing, these children and what they're capable of these days. And I'm seeing a big change, Dave, a big change.
Do you think that is as a result of man being more enlightened, or do you think that's free will in the younger generations is starting to take over more?
I think free will does have a lot to do with it. But where does free will come from? It comes from a shift of consciousness. It comes from a shift in the structure of our reality. I mean, if you go back to the 50s, there was a very, very clear, delineated structure of family and, you know, the father figure and the mother figure and the roles that those two dualities played within the nucleus of the family, and then the children. You know, our culture, and I mean, in different cultures, there was that same sort of structure that I think we're starting to pull out of those. And I think all of those are a part of this masculine energy that is more analytical, more, controlling, having to create these levels of a hierarchy of power, of control. And I think that all of that served a purpose for its time, and now we're coming into a new kind of a concept, a more connected, more genuine. So now we're not basing our emotions and our perceptions on just structures, and that's actually something that I work with every day with my clients, and it's a big work to break down that structure, those structured programs that are now instilled in us as adults. And that's a lot of work to go through, Dave, because, you know, all of the programming that we have received as women and men, who we're supposed to be, has caused such a tremendous amount of separation from the self and disconnect from what we actually need, what our spirit needs. And we're doing a cleanup now. We're doing the cleanup of that. We're seeing the fruits of all that work that went in. And as we're changing and coming into some new energies now of more expansive, connected, more open the channels of different communication within ourselves and with others, you know, I think that's coming into play now. So I think both aspects have a lot to do with it, but it's very clear that we are shifting in a collective consciousness here on the planet and our focus.
I'm always curious as to why the younger generations are more spiritually fitted. And I realize you got into it just a little bit there. I look at it too. Discipline has changed a lot. We aren't allowed to discipline our children anymore. When I grew up, all right, I got the belt. I think the majority of us did, or the wooden spoon or a good slap on the behind when we were bad. Today, it's more about taking time to explain things. It's taking time to try and teach through words rather than discipline. Do you think that the kids, because they aren't maybe getting that hardcore discipline that we did as children, that in a spiritual way, they stay open-minded and they aren't closed to different types of situations?
Yeah, that's such an awesome point, Dave. And I think really why that's happening, as I was mentioning earlier, we're coming into this new energy of the divine feminine. See, the masculine energy is about structure. It's about the analytical mind, the reptilian mind, coming and analyzing with a very linear concept of what's right and wrong. And the feminine is more about connection. It's more about heart space communication. So the fact that we're coming into this new energy of having to communicate more, I feel like we are evolving as humans, where we are moving out of the more fear-based programming. Because trust me, I was there too. I mean, my father disciplined us when we couldn't do things. And I mean, looking back, even in discussions with my family and how our family raises the children in our family, we think, gosh, that was such a moment of unconsciousness and, and anger that we weren't able to check ourselves and our anger when we felt it so that we wouldn't act out physically. Because a lot of that, now we're looking at the results of that, and that fear-based programming caused a lot of trauma in children. And that's who we are now. We are the adults. We are the result of that. And we're cleaning up the mess because a lot of that has caused trauma within us. And one important thing to focus on trauma, there's many different kinds of trauma. And trauma can be executed in a very subtle way or a very physical way. There's many different ways. And I think that all trauma, we don't realize the impact of even emotions that take a hold on people. So, as we're evolving here, coming into a new energy, the fact that we are communicating and coming from a more connected perspective is definitely allowing us to check in with ourselves and decide what's good for us. Having that opportunity to communicate with our children and allowing them to decide what is good for them by having that communication, opening that dialogue with themselves, is really an evolved way of being. And I think that that's going to go even further now in our way of communicating. As we are opening new channels of communication with ourselves and others, we are opening new ways of understanding how to process our experiences here on this planet as people, as humans.
Do you think it has anything to do, and I don't want to turn this into a whole religious landscape or debate in our chat rooms or our listeners, but do you think that the way people are pulling away from churches in droves, do you think that has anything to do with the search for their own religious and spiritual freedom?
Yes, and again, there's, religion, again, like you said, we don't want to have any controversy about religion. I mean, religion serves its purpose for what it is, but as we're coming into a more expansive way of experiencing life and ourselves as human beings, as we are learning more about ourselves as humans, I think we're coming to a point where we are opening new ways of connecting with our divine. And as we open those new ways, we are pulling away from that structure, from a blind structure that maybe at sometimes were, introduced to us, And as we're pulling away from that structure, we're coming into new ways of understanding ourselves and our relationship with the divine. So, again, it's part of that moving out of the masculine, of that structure, coming into the feminine, to that divine, expansive energy of finding truth, of looking for what resonates with us on every level, not just one. I mean, with religion, sometimes there is that sense of having this duality of one thing is religion, another thing is your life, but integrating those two aspects of the spiritual self with your with your everyday person. That's what we need to create. And a lot of times, I mean, I've studied religions on end. We find that we didn't always have the tools to find that, to open those channels of communication for us. We didn't have the tools to see, how do we get to the next step? How do we connect? How do we integrate? So I think that that's one thing that we're coming into right now, is looking at new ways to connecting with the divine.
When it comes to energy and the way people absorb that energy, we see a lot of people today addicted to some sort of prescription drug. We see people who are on antidepressants, they're on pain medication, they're on anxiety medication. Autism is at an all-time high, and we can't figure out why. Do you think that the more society has become a prescription society, that we have really maybe lost some of that belief in what we could do as human beings?
I definitely think that, I mean, if you look at the history of how drugs were put in to our society, okay, I want to point out that drugs are also put in for a very strong need to control the mind, to numb down the mind to a point where it was controllable. And the more that we have humans that are on any kind of drugs or pulling them away, separating themselves even deeper from themselves, I think that that's an amazing way for them to have that control. So, there's a lot of controversy on that, but I think it's clear that when we start to clean up those aspects of ourselves, we start opening ourselves up to ability to connect with ourselves on a deeper level,
Let's move on here. I want to get into channeling for just a little bit here, Geraldine, because for a lot of people, they don't understand channeling, they don't understand how it works or even what it means. What is your opinion of channeling, and have you ever done it yourself?
Yeah, I think channeling, I think people, definitely have the ability to channel. I myself, Dave, I do not want to channel myself because I have a very clear understanding, within my own personal experiences, of what these beings are and how we are as light source energies here on this planet. And with everything that is occurring in our reality right now, with the influence of a lot of different energies that are surrounding our reality right now, within this duality, we have different races, different beings, manifestations of beings here on this planet, in this matrix universe. And they have technology that is far more advanced than anything than we are able to recreate here. And why I bring that up is because through my experience and also research on a lot of different supernatural connections and things that have occurred, a lot of people that see things like this sometimes are shown a lot of different things, a lot of different images of people, maybe even Jesus or Mother Mary, or you can be shown all kinds of things that can manifest themselves as guides or beings. And my problem with this is that in order for a person to have the clarity to understand whether something is coming from a high vibration or a low vibration, they really need to clarify and purify the body and the mind to have that connection with themselves and having practiced that intuition to know whether what they're seeing is coming from a high vibration or a low vibration. I mean, we can manifest images from the subconscious mind because the subconscious mind is really what guides our connection and communication with different dimensions. But in order to have a clear communication with these beings, we need to understand our ability to understand our signs and what it means for us to see something that's light or to see something that's dark. We need to have that communication already done within ourselves, so that when that comes up, then we're able to assess using our gut guidance what is right and wrong. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because then what happens is that people go into higher states. They go interdimensionally into things, depending on their vibrational level, which is created by the subconscious mind. Again, please note. And because of the subconscious mind creates this vibrational level, they are now aligning with certain beings that may be interdimensional because, of course, they're empathic or they are psychic. They open these channels within them. And it's hard to open our intuition. It's not hard to access those abilities within ourselves. It's just a matter of working with the technology within the body. So anyone can open their channels to communicating interdimensionally with beings, with entities, with all kinds of things. And the problem is that when we talk about channeling, we are now connecting with a being that is providing information to us that we are now channeling through ourselves. And our situation right now in the universe is so complex that we are within dualities. So we have a lot of different beings with many different agendas operating on our planet right now. And, they utilize everything possible in order to move these agendas left and right. So in order to know whether the information that you're getting is really coming from the highest vibration possible, you really have to have a very strong connection to Source and to yourself. So that's why, personally, I work directly with Source and my higher self. And, because I have had connection with councils and entities and beings, and I can see them when they are in other people's spaces. And sometimes my clients, they are speaking with entities and beings that they believe are providing them with information, and then later on down the road can cause a lot of confusion. So, these are just very small examples of how this confusion can happen. And, another way to look at that is that we are constantly evolving. We are multidimensional beings that are in a matrix universe that are evolving right now. So as we are evolving, we are also moving through different dimensions. And as we do that, we're accessing different levels of vibration within different dimensions. So that means that even our connections with these beings are going to be constantly shifting. So that's why, I know that some people that are practice that connect with beings, they channel magnificent information, wonderful information. But I always tell, people to be cautious of what they're receiving vibrationally, because our ability to connect to Source is available 100%, 24/7. And what we need to focus on is opening those channels instead of necessarily counting on other people to provide us with information. Right now, we're coming into this spiritual age where we're seeing a lot of this activity going on. And I see a lot of people giving away their power, giving away and accessing these channelers and connections. And there's a lot of confusion, Dave. And the duality knows that we're moving through these spiritual openings right now. So they're going to infiltrate and they're going to use everything possible in order to continue to carry out their agenda. So this is a time where we have to be very cautious of that. And the only way that we can become cautious is by purifying the body and the mind in order to have a clear intuition and connection to Source on our own. That's why I stress the connection with the self and opening and activating the technology of the body.
How does one know if they're channeling something positive or negative? Because I think that's the fear a lot of people have if they want to go into this. Because let's face it, for the people who do have that curiosity, Geraldine, that they want to get in touch or try and get to a higher source, they're willing to do almost anything to get there because we always forget about the consequence.
Yeah, you're right about that, and I see that a lot. And how do we know? It's a matter of training your body to understand and to communicate with yourself. And this training has to happen on a daily basis, all the time. Right now, the average human being is walking around like a zombie with their cell phone in front of them. You know, they don't even know what's occurring around them half the time. They are going to work, they're in front of a computer. They leave work, they go to lunch, they're in front of their phone. They're in front of a radio, in front of a television, watching sports, watching the news. And, you know, we're just constantly distracted. We are being trained to live externally. And as we are being trained to live externally, we're being trained to react. And at the same time, we are being trained to to disable our internal connection with our emotions. Okay, like for example, video games that are showing us shooting, violence. We watch the news, more violence. You know, we watch movies, more violence, and all of that is desensitizing ourselves to these abilities to react to these things. So on many levels, we are being disconnected from our ability to feel genuine emotion and genuine expression. And that's very dangerous because that causes us to be very confused about what we are genuinely feeling and experiencing every moment of our day. And if not confused, then we are coming from a very numb state of being. We are numbing down our mind. So now we're just zombies. And yet we are externalizing our experience. We're not going within. We're going outside because it's like we're drunk with this constant movement of chemicals rushing through the body, of the thrill of listening to these horrible, dramatic things, of looking at gory things on our phone or on the news. I mean, all of these things are triggering constantly chemicals within the body. Even the food is doing that for us, okay? So as we're living so externally, we are giving away our power to everything that is around us. And what needs to happen is a very serious stop where we are going within and we are now connecting with ourselves and communicating and opening the channels of connection with the body. So that now we open our ability to see and rediscover our emotions, Dave. Because I work with people every day with emotional trauma, healing, piecing back together all the parts that are triggering the pain body on a daily basis. And some people don't even have the ability of identifying emotions. They can't even name out the different emotions. And how did we get there? I mean, how did we get to this point where we don't even know what we're feeling anymore? So we won't even be able to access our intuition if we don't even know what we're feeling. So on a daily basis, opening and having that communication with ourselves is imperative to our evolution. It's imperative to the collective consciousness. And it literally starts with little things like, do you want coffee or tea? Tap in with your body. What are you feeling? Are you getting coffee because that's what everyone gets at Starbucks? Or are you getting coffee because you genuinely love the flavor and you want to experience that? And you know, why are we doing things? We have to question ourselves. We act like zombies and just follow trend after trend after trend instead of understanding what our body really truly needs. And when you do that, Dave, you're going to start seeing a lot of things falling off. You know, the habits that we are into right now are going to be changing because we're going to see that we have a lot of learned behavior that doesn't even belong to us. You know, it's all things that have been programmed through commercials, through our family, friends, structured religions, culture, so many different things. So we refine our intuition by finding our voice, finding our connection within so that we can understand who we are without all of those structures that have been created for us, all those identities, you know. So that's where the work lies. So it's a really important question to ask, how can we train our intuition? And it's a daily thing. It's every moment of your day. And if you want to go deeper, we can talk about the technology of the body, and that would be the next step.
Before we talk about the technology of the body, you did mention how food can affect things. I'm curious what you mean by that, because, for the most of us, we do try to eat healthy. Okay, we try and eat our apple a day or oranges or a good whole meal. However, I'm sure our intake is probably more than what most of us really need. Example, point 1 or 1.0 right here in front of you, speaking to you at this point. Because I'll tell you one thing, I'm never giving up bacon or powdered donuts or ice cream. I just refuse. But, I mean, how does the diet and the food affect the spiritual awakening and the ability to channel and get in touch with things?
Dave, that's such an important question, and it's hilarious what you say. And, there's always those things that we love, But the thing is this, our relationship with food is so important, Dave, because we have to understand how the brain works, okay? Right now, the food that we're eating every day is full of sugar, it's full of preservatives, full of chemicals, colorants, full of hormones. And all of those things are inserting inside of our body when we're not choosing to try to eat healthy. Like, for example, live raw food, or more vegetables, more greens, more juicing, more, proteins, focusing on having a balanced nutrition. We're doing things out of a rush of our lives, of our busy lives, in order to create, practicality. Let's say that practicality that we want to create in our lives, that illusion of practicality. So we go for the quick thing, the most available thing. And all of those quick available things that have been inserted very carefully into our society right now are full of chemicals that drive the chemicals in our body to almost like a comatose, like a stasis within the body that is now numb. We are battling one high after the other. If it's not a sugar high, it's a salt high, it's a chemical high, or even alcohol, or whatever we're doing. We are constantly putting our body through these chemical waves of information, and all of that is programming into our DNA. And what it does is it disables our brain on another level to be in this where all our blood is going to our stomach here, processing all of these chemicals in the body, and we're not able to think clearly. Okay, so a lot of us don't have a very healthy relationship with food. We have to heal those aspects with ourselves. There's many different levels when it comes to food. Food is a whole other topic. It's very complex. There's an emotional level to that, and there's the aspect of, understanding what we're eating. So, I mean, in this spirituality, what I've noticed on my own journey, and I can only speak for myself because everyone is different. Everyone has different diets, different, needs and requirements for their health, and that's all fine. But in my personal journey, when I used to eat a lot more sugar, a lot more salt, candies, any kind of sweets. And when I used to, binge on those things, it was just for emotional reasons. Let's say for emotional reasons, when I was stressed out in my old job, I would just go into this zombie mode where I didn't even feel like after the sugar high, then I'd have a crash, and then I couldn't even do anything. I couldn't even think straight. And now that I have incorporated a healthier lifestyle where I'm focusing on my nutrition, and my nutrition has been created now by my connection to my body and what my body needs. And that's something that I invite everyone to do, because, again, are you eating because of trends and what you hear, or are you really taking the time to connect with your body? So when you do that, then you start to see that maybe you don't need so many of those preservatives. Maybe you don't need so much sugar, so much salt, so many hormones coming into your body. And that's an important, conversation to have with yourself. It's an important conversation to have with ourselves, and as parents to focus for our children, because everything that we are eating is affecting our DNA. It is changing who we are entirely from the inside out. We have to really understand that on a very deep level, because transformation is not just, I'm going to meditate every day for 1 hour and then I'm going to just continue living a regular life. It's everything. Everything has to shift. Why? Because everything is vibration. Everything is energy. And all of that energy is turning into information. And all that information is shifting our bodies, our minds, everything, and our entire multidimensional body. We are multidimensional beings. Everything that we are, we feel, we think, we are constantly changing and evolving. Every moment of our day, every now is a new you, depending on what you just did the minute before. So everything in your life dictates how you move through this matrix universe and how you are evolving in this reality.
You say that as I now feel guilt for cracking open a bottle of Pepsi beside me. Oh. We only got
with yourself, Dave.
Yeah. We only got about 5.5 minutes here before we have to go to break. When you talk about changing your vibrational frequency, as you stated earlier before I asked you the food question, Gail is wondering what you actually mean by that. How does one shift their vibration?
Yeah, that's such an awesome question. And again, it has to do with what I just said right now. I mean, as our vibration depends on the information that we hold as these beings, these bodies that we have, our flesh, our blood, our brains, everything we're thinking, everything we're feeling, everything is vibration, right? Everything is energy, and then it's vibration, and then it's information. So we change our vibration by everything that we are thinking and we are feeling and we are doing creates information that makes up the electromagnetic field that revolves around you. Okay, so you are what you eat. They say that, right? But you are what you are every moment of your day. Whatever you're feeling, doing, being, that's what your energetic magnetism is going to be like. And so from there, we are attracting whatever is like to us. So how do we change that? We have to change all aspects of ourselves, and it starts in the mind. In the mind is where we have to start programming and healing all of the programs that no longer serve us, number one, right? All the things that we have been taught, and I'm going to get into this more, but the first 7 years of your life are when you are like a sponge, absorbing all the programs of who you are and who you're going to be for the rest of your life. So everything that happens from birth up until the age of 7, that's what you are in all aspects of yourself. So that's the first part. Then you spend the rest of your life either replaying those same aspects of yourself or healing them and transforming them. And all of those things make up your energetic vibration, okay? In order to become aware of your vibration, you have to connect with your body. You have to have that communication. So we can start healing. We can start the healing process by communicating with ourselves and by connecting with our emotions, with our thoughts, with our feelings, and then deciding what we need and having that, that genuine connection with yourself of authenticity, so we know what we are, what we need.
So when it comes to the mechanical side of channeling and getting into the mechanics of the body, as you were saying, how does that work? Channeling, you are basically you are accessing another dimension of information, basically. We are interdimensional beings no matter what. All of us are interdimensional beings, and all of us can access different dimensions. So when we channel, we are just basically tuning into another radio frequency of information, and that is now coming through us. But the fact that it comes through us means that we are allowing that being, that entity, that frequency to come through us. So we are opening ourselves, let's say like a host for this information, for this being to come in. Like, for example, Bashar. His body serves as a host for the person that he's channeling, for Bashar, right? Daryl is the host for Bashar. So that's what's happening on a physical level. Vibrationally, he is in alignment with that dimension at that time, with that vibrational information that's coming in. The mechanics that go on to it, though, I'm at a little loss of how it all works and how it all bleeds into everybody's own. Is it the soul that it goes into, Teresa, or is it going through the entire body?
It does not go into the soul. It goes into the vibrational information. We are multidimensional beings, so our physical mass is one thing. But when we talk about different dimensions, the physical mass is in a 3D dimension. When we talk about accessing different dimensions, we're going to be accessing maybe like 4D or 5D, 6D. Wherever these beings that we are accessing are in a different dimension. And it's a vibrational information. It's not physical information. So it just comes in as information, vibration that accesses our ability to communicate, to talk. It accesses the part of our brain where we are connecting now with this other vibrational information that is now being channeled through us.
Mm-hmm.
And we give it, the permission to do that by accessing that in our mind, which is accessing that dimension, and now it's speaking through us. It's accessing our vocal cords and speaking through us, basically. It's just using the physical body like a puppet in order to speak, to communicate, to express itself on our physical dimension.
Sounds complicated. Sounds very complicated. Well, you're going to have to you're going to have to show us how to do it sometime. Definitely. Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we are about to go to break here. Our first break of the night. Geraldine Orozco from BayAreaMeditation.com will be with us one more hour on the show. We're going to get into some other topics in regards to integration with extraterrestrials, so on and so forth. It's going to be fun. Geraldine comes on the first Tuesday of every month for the Spiritual You. We love having her here. You hold on. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hey Space Travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on SpacedOutRadio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at SpacedOutRadio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at SpacedOutRadio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Tyson Bannigan is going to be with us. We're going to be talking about dowsing, healing, and so much more at spacedoutradio.com, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live at spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, and you can listen to us on The Fringe FM. We are also live on Periscope.tv. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Batrachomancy. Batrachomancy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, like I said, we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget our archives. You can watch us, any show that you want, at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Our archives are for free, so check them on out. Just do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read The Encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO Seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. The first Tuesday of the month, we get into our spiritual Zen side with a little show we call The Spiritual You with Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation. Tonight we are talking about integration with extraterrestrials, going into hour number 2. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hey, Dave. Thank you.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Extraterrestrials, many people claim to have had some sort of contact. How does one know if they have had true contact or not?
So that is a tricky question, but the most important way to understand if you have had contact or not, in my opinion, is to get a regression. And of course, maybe not everyone can get a regression. There are a couple aspects to abduction and contact. I mean, there's a difference. One thing is contact. When we're talking about experiences, people that have experiences seeing aliens or seeing ships, lights outside, the supernatural. And another thing is actually having the experience of being taken out of your home into a ship, taken into other places or any other place, maybe even underground or bases. I mean, there's so many different experiences that we can have that are very real right now. So when we talk about contact, there are a couple of things, and what I've learned on my journey, things that I wish I knew when I was first abducted. In 2013, when I was taken, I woke up the very next day, just hours after they left me again, or maybe minutes, at the very end of my bed, and my bed was completely open, and I was hanging over the side of my bed, the very bottom, upside down. And that never happened in the history of my life, okay? I sleep very soundly, and I don't move very much, and I don't, move around to that extent. So when I was taken, I, actually got up out of my bed and went to my window and then experienced them pulling me out. But one thing that I wasn't aware of was the traces that they leave behind on the skin. And that's something that I learned recently, actually at UFOCon with all of us, because I was checked by this amazing researcher that focuses on implants and also looking at traces in the skin. And he uses a UV light. It's a very specific one. I don't know what kind it is. I don't know if you know, Dave. Do you know what kind they use?
No, I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the light that they use, but it's a very specific UV ray that picks up on the fluorescence of light that is left behind, these marks on the skin. And as one of the things that I noticed, and I had checked when I was at UFOCon, I had him scan my body, and we found traces on my hands. And depending on the color of the traces that you find on your body, it will tell you whether it's a recent contact or contact from maybe a week before. So when he shined light on my hand, we found a very beautiful purple-blue light, and that was a contact of a week prior. So, when things like that happen, it's pretty incredible, and that really makes things so much realer. But one way to find out that you have contact is by checking the body for marks. And of course, those are things that you can't identify within the physical body without having the tool of the UV light. But then he checked my face, and on my face I had these round rings on each one of my cheeks that were orange, and that was contact in the last 24 hours. And then another way that they can check for abduction marks is if you have physical scars. A lot of people will have scars around their body. They will have burns. And what makes it different from regular scars, let's say you're sleeping and you scratch yourself, is the fact that a lot of these scars are already well into the healing process. So how is it possible that you scratch yourself and then it's healed already within one day, a mark that wasn't there the day before? So that's very common, and I've had those in my past as well. Even recently with weird scars that just show up overnight in weird shapes, like dots that are perfectly, separated on the body, or scratches or lesions that are already healed, within 24 hours. So that's another way of knowing. Now, those are the physical marks. And then, of course, if we're talking about people that have contact with the hybridization program, then we go into much deeper marks and things that you can look out for, which go into a man and a woman and their sexual organs, or any kind of contact there that has been, done, or any kind of work that has been done within those spaces. There will be some changes there. There can be some changes either in the cycle of a woman or not. If we go further into dreams and visions now, which is another way of knowing whether you have been abducted. Now, when we talk about dreams, it's a very difficult topic to talk about because obviously, dreams, how can you quantify whether it's something that's real or something that you dream? And the only way we can do that is through the research and the research that has been done with other experiencers around the world. And experiencers that recount their dreams and their experiences and what are the patterns that we are seeing amongst those dreams and those experiences, is that oftentimes the dreams that you have of the ET contact tend to be, one commonality is that they are realer than real life. And personally, I have had those dreams, and these kinds of constructs of the imagination that we identify of dreams are things that we, dreams can be very imaginative. Obviously, they can be things that we can possibly imagine. And dreams are created by our subconscious mind and the things that we are processing throughout our everyday life, or things we hear that put an imprint. But at the same time, our dream time, everything that we do in dream time, is also another dimension that we're working on and accessing within our storyline as humans. And of course, we are still understanding and discovering what dream time really is, but there are many dimensions to dream time. And one of those aspects are that we are experiencing and carrying out a lot of things that we as soul contracts are not doing in our waking time are doing in dream time. So that is one aspect. And the reason why I bring in contractual agreements is because a lot of this ET contact that occurs with humans here on the planet are contractual agreements on some level or another that have been done in order to carry out certain agendas or certain experiences within their prospective timelines of humans here on the planet. So, dreams that come in as, if you dream about UFOs, you dream about aliens, and it's not something that you've ever seen before, I really urge you to question those dreams and to kind of look and be very honest with yourself. I mean, is that something did you watch a movie? Are you hearing something, reading something that could have created that subconsciously? But again, my true belief in this is that nothing happens for, just out of coincidence. everything that we experience as humans here in this multidimensional reality is a result of our subconscious mind and our contractual agreements to this multidimensional reality and this matrix universe. So even the things that we believe that are, just out of pure coincidence, that you watch a movie, we got to understand that all of those movies, all of those things that are imprinting subconscious messages in our mind, they came from somewhere, okay? And on some level, those things have been manifested through some truth within our existence as in our reality as humans. So, there's many different levels to this, obviously, but it's important to have those conversations and those questions. Another way that we can consider the thought that we were abducted is by your ability to, your empathic connection, your communications with beings. A lot of experiencers, have a lot of commonalities amongst them. And one of them is that they're very empathic. I mean, there's a long list of this. And you can visit Melinda Leslie's website. Melinda Leslie is an experiencer. She has a lot of worksheets that you can fill out and questionnaires that help you identify whether you're an experiencer. And Misha Johnson has incredible worksheets that you can do on her website as well that can help you understand whether you are an experiencer. And there's been a lot of study on this, Dave. So we are starting to piece together, the results of this study, of these experiences, thousands of experiencers around the world that have gone through abduction, and the commonalities that we start to see are really incredible. So, with these lists of things that we have to access, to refer to, we can see whether we have been in contact or not. And the most important, in my opinion, is to get regression done. Because with regression, you are able to access the subconscious mind and any memory that we have locked away, because these beings will disable those memories within you so you do not remember. And that's a very, very common thing in order to not cause trauma within the mind. And even on a psychological level, when we experience a traumatic experience in our life, we tend to lock away memories, even from our childhood or from experiences that we don't want to access, that will disturb the mind in our working, in our functioning everyday life. So, our mind it's a very intelligent, advanced technology that obviously will filter out specific memories in order to preserve itself. So, going into regression is a powerful way to access those memories if one would like to, in order to provide healing, to provide clarity and understanding on these experiences.
I got a couple questions from our audience, if you don't mind. Catalina is asking, how are implants inserted if they are made of metal?
That's an awesome question. And there's been a recent documentary that was made with Dr. Lear, which was one of the, most incredible researchers and doctors that focused on removing implants from the body, alien implants. Now, the interesting thing about this technology is that it is such advanced technology that we are going into. Well, here's my perspective on technology. In my opinion, our technology here, right now, what we are experiencing is extremely antiquated technology, okay? And to give you a perspective of the kind of technology that is available to us in the future, I want you to look in the mirror, because you, as a human being, are the most advanced technology, and that's when we start going into, biotechnology, when we start going into where we're lacing, biological matter with technology. Everything in the universe is pure intelligence. So everything is alive. It has consciousness. And the merging of these, different substances in order to merge with the body is what's occurring here. So these metals are being, basically on a biological level laced with the human DNA in order for it to sustain its life cycle and carry out whatever it's made to do within the physical body. So these, these implants can be inserted within, the majority of experiencers will have one in the lower nape of their, back of their neck. And, I've heard it called almost like a switch, where when they're about to remove a person from their, environment, they basically turn that off and they are disabled. They are numb, paralyzed. The body is numb. And so normally, if you're an experiencer, you will go through many different visits and in which they will insert these these implants into the physical body so that they can carry out whatever work they're doing with your physical body, with your mind, with your soul essence, your DNA, which is what is the important, which is what they are after, your information. So that's what it is. It's a biological technology. It is merged with the DNA of the body in order to be able to reside. Because when they did a study on the metals that are being inserted inside of these implants, they are metals that are so potent, some of them with radiation, that just a little nano piece of that would kill a human being if it was just regularly, inserted into the body. So in order for that to work, it has to be laced with our DNA in order to merge and blend in with our organism.
Let's get to another question from Lynn, who is asking, Geraldine, do you know what the abductions are for?
Yes. I can only speak from my experience. I have been a part of 3 different hybridization programs. And that means that I have been a part of 3 different agendas. Okay, so I have been a part of a Pleiadian abduction. I have been a part of 2 separate, different vibrational level reptilian abductions. And within my experience, those different abductions that I was a part of were made to create hybrids with using my DNA, my biological information. And the children, whatever was produced from that DNA is used to carry out multidimensional beings that are being inserted into different timelines as we are evolving and moving through this evolution within the Matrix universe. So what is occurring is that we live in a duality of a universe, the Matrix universe, which has a duality. It has a source aspect to it, and it has the duality which we live in, which is basically what you want to call the Matrix universe. In the Matrix universe, everything, both dualities, are pure intelligence. But within this duality, we have a manifestation of this Matrix universe, which is all of these alien beings, everything that is occurring here. And what's been done is that they are holding these source human souls, these beings, me and you, that hold source essence within their soul. Our soul is made of source. It's infinite creation, which is different than the duality that we are living in right now. Okay? Everything in the universe has duality. Absolutely everything. Right now, we are in this aspect of duality, cycling through a reincarnation, which you can call is almost like an entrapment of our essence information, in order to feed and survive off our soul essence. Okay. Now, these hybrids that are being done are being created in order to create these new beings that are just like that biotechnology that they create, are being created in order to function multidimensionally within the different aspects of this existence, of this Matrix universe. So all of these hybrids that are being created are made to carry out different agendas within what we are going through now. But regardless of that, the entire existence of both dualities is evolving constantly. Okay? So these beings that are being inserted are being made to carry out the agendas here on the planet that the duality is utilizing in order to survive. That's why we talk about a virus. We talk about, it's almost like red blood cells on this planet fighting against white blood cells. And we are striving to keep the vitality and health of the earth. And just visualize earth as if it was like one cell. And on top of it, it has a virus in which we are coming to the destruction of this one cell. And as light beings, as the duality, which is necessary in order to maintain life on this planet, we are working through cleaning up the duality within our existence here on the planet and the matrix universe, but also within ourselves. You see, everything in the universe is a fractal within a fractal within a fractal, and we are source fractals. So everything that is occurring right now is an ongoing, infinite cycle, life cycle of duality, in which the purpose is the merging of those two dualities. So these hybrids are being put into the different timelines in order to create and manipulate the timelines that we are in existence, what we believe is our life here on this planet, our, going to work, being with our families, everything. We are just an organism that is working here on this planet to survive, to live in the illusion of living our lives out. But the ultimate purpose in our existence is to be able to experience both dualities freely without having to continue to reincarnate through this reincarnation cycle constantly. Okay? So these abductions, there's many different agendas for them, but this is one of the main agendas in order to maintain ultimately life force for this duality that we are living in. And it is happening on the planet as well as outside the planet.
Does that differ between positive and negative encounters with extraterrestrials during abduction or contact?
Is that different, you said?
Yeah. Is there a difference?
Is there a difference? Is there a difference? There's not. It's not so much about, the difference, we're talking about what you mean, the experience. Here's my take on that. I believe that there is a duality to everything, and these abductions within the matrix universe that are creating hybrids are always going to be a part of the matrix universe. That's what I have seen. I don't believe that the hybridization program is something that is existing within the duality of source, of light. I believe that it's only existing here within this matrix duality. Whether we believe it's a higher vibration or not, I believe that if it is coming from the higher vibration, it is coming from the future back in order to intercept in the timelines that we are creating here. So, ultimately, I don't believe that there is a difference. I think that these hybrids are being created for specific agendas, and as source beings, we need to be able to be out of the reincarnation cycle, no matter what.
I understand that, and I can appreciate that, but for people who are having very negative contact, doesn't matter what the being is, this is a very uncomfortable process. This is a process that scares them, gives them nightmares. People have committed suicide over such contact experiences, Geraldine. And when I hear you speak about it, it sounds enlightening. It sounds professional. It sounds like it's a gift that we are sharing. But when I look at the stories that we have heard and some of the horror stories on this show that we have heard, and even my own experiences at times, even though the majority of them have been positive, it makes me wonder, is there a different agenda for those who are having, or those extraterrestrial species who are taking people and giving them these nightmarish rape situations?
Yes, and And my perspective is not that these abductions are necessarily a gift exactly. I don't really believe that. For me, the clarity that we need to understand is that we need to leave the reincarnation cycle, all this illusion of living this life on this physical planet within our physical bodies, where we experience pain, where we experience suffering, raping, all of these things within a structures after structure after structure. Our job is to leave this reincarnation cycle so that we can experience both dualities. However, talking about these, what is the ultimate goal for them creating these kinds of abductions? Again, it's to feed. We are in this planet, which is within this, it's almost as if it's infected by this virus of these beings, which is a manifestation of this dark duality. And the dark duality only survives off eating off of our low vibration. Okay, so all of the fear, the suffering, the pain, the anguish that we feel as humans is food for them to keep surviving and thriving within this duality, because that is the vibration that is creating this duality that is necessary for them to thrive. It is like a virus. It's a manifestation of malformation, a stagnant manifestation of energy within this duality, which needs to be cleansed, purified, and moved out. And the only way we're going to cleanse and move that out is by leaving the reincarnation cycle, no longer providing them with a food source that they require in order to maintain this. Okay? So why do they do these kinds of horrific things? And I have been a part of a lot of these horrible experiences as well, is in order to feed off my pain, my trauma, my suffering. And the longer I maintain in that vibration of fear and suffering, I am buying into the illusion that I am helpless as a human on this world, on this planet, in this human body, having this human experience. And what we need to understand is that as humans, we are far more powerful than these beings. And the moment we understand that, we are leaving the reincarnation cycle, no longer providing them with food. These beings are dependent on our fear, okay? They are dependent on our emotions. The entire matrix world that we live in, with our politics, with our environment, with everything that we have around us, is contributing to us feeling that we are locked in to these physical bodies with these very real physical experiences. And although that is true for us on a physical level, we are multidimensional beings, and we have to understand that we have the ability to remove ourselves from that. What's the difference between a person that has been experiencing pain and suffering, and now they're no longer feeling pain and suffering? They have healed from that. So we need to heal from all of the triggers that allow us to access this information. Our mind is so powerful. We are like computers, okay? And all of the programming and everything that we have received since childhood is creating certain programs within us in order to interact with the world around us. If we talk to someone and we help them understand, and forgive all of the pain and suffering that they have undergone, the trauma in their life, they come out the other end as new beings, new people. Transformation and healing is completely possible for everyone that has gone pain and trauma in their life. And it's a matter of working with the mind and the body with that connection. What has happened is a severe disconnect of the two, and now that's why, we are forgetting our empowerment as humans. But as we start integrating these truths within us, we start finding healing and transformation. And our DNA is now being reprogrammed from that aspect. So what we have to do is remember who we are as source beings, okay? And as we heal, as we start to heal the physical body, we are able to access new information, new possibilities of our existence. All of these experiences of abduction and trauma are made to provide this feeding energy for these beings, for this duality. So as I'm telling you, we are far more powerful than those experiences, and we have to be able to overcome them, to heal, to, advance beyond that.
Let's move on here to Eric with a K's question. Now, Eric was at the UFO con with us, so he met me, and he met you as well. So I'm sure you remember him, the big, tall guy with the glasses, great hair, fantastic hair. Anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric is asking, he says, Geraldine, I'm thinking of having you do a reading or a session. Please tell me what will occur exactly when I book a session with you.
Sure. Thank you for that question, Eric. When I do sessions, I try to address as much as possible on my sessions. And the first part of the session, it's an hour-and-a-half session. The first part of it, I go into a very deep meditation. Now, my meditation is a little bit more advanced meditation. It's not going to be just regular breathing in and out. It requires visualization, and it requires us to access. And what I try to do is teach you how to access the technology in your body, working with the chakra centers. And when we start accessing the chakra centers, what we want to do, because our chakras are what connect us, they are our navigation map for the world around us. I help you unlock each aspect of your chakra center. We close the first three chakras. We open the top three chakras so we can access the higher vibrations of our physical body. And then I go into some very ancient techniques of pranic energy. We run earth energy and source energy through the body so that we can start moving out all of those blockages within the physical body. And we can start accessing all the contractual agreements. You can say the Akashic records of your body, of your mind, so that you can start to heal. And we need to access the Akashic records in order to access that programming and then work on reprogramming. The second part of the healing is regression. I take you into a regression where I allow your mind to go where you need to go for your healing. So you can either go to your childhood or a memory of a recent past that you feel that has caused the greatest impact in your life. And that's where we start to work. That's where we start to get the information. We dive deep into those experiences to understand the very root cause of that trigger, that trauma, and we reprogram. The third part of it is where I come in. Since I can see the multidimensional body, I scan the multidimensional body for blockages, for cords, for entities, for anything that is impeding the natural flow of life force through your body. Any manifestations of thought, emotions that are stuck is in the body. The fourth part is a realignment and a connection to source. So the most important part of it is your connection to source. And ultimately what I want to do is for you to learn how to do this on your own so that you can continue this healing, after our session. And that's really why it's a 4-part healing. I try to encompass every aspect of the multidimensional body so that you can do that on your own, and you can provide this new learned technique in reprogramming your own DNA with every memory, every trauma. Anytime that you feel you need, you can learn how to do the healing on yourself as well.
How much does that cost for a session?
Sure. My sessions are a flat rate of $111, and of course I chose that number because it's vibrational number, and it's just an energy exchange between my clients. So it's an hour-and-a-half long, and you can book through my calendar on my website.
First-time listener Will in the chat room. Will, thank you so much for tuning in Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you. I appreciate that. Getting back to the alien question, Will is asking, Geraldine, do you believe we are being colonized then by ETs? Are we humans being hybridized out of existence?
No, not at all. I do not believe that we are. We are pure energy. We are infinite energy. As source beings, we are infinite. Okay, we have the ability of having. You see, even the entire structure of the universe is almost like an infinity cycle, and everything, as I mentioned, is almost in fractals, right? So we are a fractal of source, and source is infinite. So the only thing that has a life cycle is what is within this duality. What is the opposite of infinite? It is death. It is ending, right? Something that ends. So finite, of course. And so everything within this matrix universe is finite. It ends, and it survives off its duality. Again, nothing in the universe exists without duality. So as source beings, we are pure energy, so we cannot disappear. The only thing that happens with energy, you can never eliminate it. It only reallocates. That's like basic physics, right? Energy just reallocates itself. It doesn't disappear anywhere. So, what we believe here, and, all of these understanding of the aliens and what they're doing here with humans is just part of living in this matrix universe, okay? That's what it looks like to us. If you expand and go beyond what we are as human, if you go further than that, expanding across the universe and beyond existence of the creation, this is just basically, it would just look like a drain that has been clogged, okay? That's what it would look like. And energy is stuck and it's not moving in one tiny little spot of a hole. So that's what it looks like when you zoom out, okay, looking at this entire reality. So when you zoom in, you see us struggling here with the beings, different beings and manifestations and the hybridization program. But when you zoom out, it's just like a clogged sink, okay? So all we have to do is cleanse that space. We are going through a cleansing right now, allowing that energy to flow through so that we can experience duality freely with free will, okay?
Do you think, though, that the number of people that are starting to become abducted and used for this hybridization program are going up, or do they continue to use the same cycle of people that they've already tested?
The hybridization program is nothing new. The hybridization program is what's been occurring since the beginning of existence of reality, since the very beginning of this planet, of this universe. In order to create humans and what we believe are humans. So, as I said, we are energy, and we are cycling through the illusion of being humans here in this Earth experience. But in other dimensions, we can be other things. We are other manifestations of energy. So whether they're cycling through the same energy, so same humans, same DNA information, yes, possibly. I mean, we have what we believe are many different lives and cycles of life on this planet. So we are constantly reincarnating or within these illusions of experience. And it's just energy. We are all the same energy. Our soul essence holds all of the experiences that it's had since the very beginning of time. And each one of us has the same thing. We all hold information. So, it's not new. As long as we leave the reincarnation cycle and we are flowing through different dualities, we're no longer experiencing this reincarnation and being a participant or open to participating in the hybridization program.
Question from Catalina in regards to hybrids. Do you think they're being created so humans can survive future chemtrail pollution?
Sure. You can, chemtrail pollution, chemtrails, what they're doing with chemtrails is, again, another form of control. And ultimately, what I have seen is that they are spraying nanotechnology in order to merge and be able to control and manipulate the reality that we are in. And also, this the chemtrails, the information, what they're spraying out is made to change our DNA. Ultimately, that's what they're doing. Whatever they're spraying out is made to mutate our cells, to mutate the DNA, to change us as humans. So really, the chemtrails are more for us. These hybrids are different vibrational beings. So a lot of them we can't see because they're not in our dimension. They're not for our dimension. They're for other dimensions within different timelines in order to shift timelines. You see, there's many aspects of this reality because we live in multidimensional reality. There's our physical reality, which is me, you, here in 3D, being sprayed by this information, and our DNA being altered. And then there's other layers of reality, which are different dimensions. And these hybrids are being put into all of these dimensions in order to carry out whatever agenda they need, whether it's interceptions in timelines, or whether it's shifting things. So ultimately, the genetic alterations that are being done are really only for us humans because those genetic creations of hybrids are already very, very carefully created with a very advanced technology in order to be multidimensional beings, that they're not affected by this kind of a mutation. Okay, that's for our DNA. Primarily.
So do you think then that this hybridization they're taking from us, but do you think they're putting anything back into us to help us resolve maybe some of the health issues that we are currently with, because disease is ever evolving?
Are they putting stuff into us to help us evolve? No. And as humans, we can say that we need that. But again, illness is part of this matrix universe. Illness is part of what we are battling here within the duality. And illness is a manifestation of duality, okay? Originally, illness was created on the planet in order to control, to kill. And the reason why it was made to do that, to mutate the DNA, to disable aspects of our DNA, to alter our human ability to connect to our source and to awaken into our consciousness as source beings. So all of the illness that is being put in is made to intercept with our ability to connect to source. And when we talk about healing the body and the mind, we have many, many different people, writers, famous writers that talk about the power of the mind when we talk about illness. We are the key to healing ourselves and to either contributing to the evolution of this illness or not. You see, we right now, this question comes from giving away our power to the matrix illusion, to believing that illness is something that we are, a part of and we are victim of. But when we understand what illness really is, it is the alteration of our DNA, and it is on a nano level technology that is being put into the body to disable certain aspects of ourselves. We as humans have the ability to heal ourselves from all illnesses. We already have the cures to cancer. We already have the cures to AIDS, to all of these illnesses available to us. But, we are not being provided those tools in this reality right now because it wouldn't serve them. Okay, see, that's something that we have to understand. Another layer of proof for us to understand that our suffering and our pain and our disabling of ourselves provides life force for these beings is the fact that these illnesses are made to disable us in believing our empowerment and our ability to heal. So our ability to heal is from ourselves. It doesn't come from anyone else, or anyone else has to provide this information to us. We need to connect with ourselves on such a deep level that we access the technology within ourselves to disable those programs of illness within us. Okay? This empowerment has to happen on a deep level, on a deep subconscious level. That is the transformation and healing of the virus on all levels, internally, physically, within this world, within our environment, within our society, within our culture. And as we are moving from one dimension to another, we're coming into this healing, into this divine feminine, where we are able to access that information within us. So, you know, it's not so much about being victims to our illnesses. It's understanding our ability to access our empowerment and our healing.
We only have a few minutes left with you tonight, and I want to get through a few more questions from our audience because, you know, we always like to include them. Let's go to a double shot of Will here. So these beings that you were talking about are essentially vampiric by nature. They are, in a way, soul suckers?
I guess you can say that in a way, that they do suck your soul, but your soul is pure and life force, pure energy. It's infinite source. So, yes, you provide this, but what they are eating is your negative emotions, your fear, your anger, you know, the lust, all of that suffering, that pain, the energy that comes out from rape, for example, from, you know, all of these horrible things that are occurring in our world around us that are being cleaned up now. For example, you know, the pedophilia. All of those things that are occurring happen in a lot of ritualistic manner. And the reason why is because this matrix reality has been constructed from the origin of these rituals that have been done from centuries and centuries, since the beginning of our time here on this planet. These same rituals happen over and over again in the history of our existence, because that provides food and life force for these beings, okay? And so, you know, as we are reincarnating, we are experiencing all these things over and over again. And so they are vampiric. They are feeding off of our experiences, but our low vibration experiences, not necessarily our soul. It's what the soul chooses to do in this matrix reality, what the soul chooses to contribute to in the matrix reality that they are feeding off of. So that's why, as infinite soul beings, we have to choose a higher vibration. We have to choose consciousness, evolution, moving out of that reincarnation cycle so that we are choosing what we are contributing to.
Let's get to another question here in regards to tonight's topic from Gail. Would you please define Matrix Universe?
Yes, absolutely. The reason why I call it the Matrix Universe is because we talk about, let me put it this way. The universe, visualize the universe like an infinity. So the infinity symbol is these two rounds, these two dualities that merge in the middle and cycle through each other, okay? One side of that is source. The other side of that is this finite reality that we live in. I talk about the matrix universe because the matrix universe is a manifestation within the finite reality, okay? It is a manifestation of stagnant energy. And that's why we refer to it as a virus. That's why we refer to all of these beings feeding off our life force as stagnant energy. Our souls come from the duality, which is source. Okay? So what's happening is that all our fractals, me, you, Dave, everyone that's here listening to this radio as a fractal of source, we are trapped, in a sense, in this reincarnation with our souls providing food for this manifestation. And the matrix is basically what you can say, what you can call a holographic reality. So what I refer to as a holographic reality is here where we are in this planet, listening to this radio, inside of this city, inside of this country, on this planet Earth, inside of this galaxy, inside of this universe, and all our beliefs, all of our science, everything that we understand that makes up this existence that we are in right now. That is the matrix universe. There are many aspects to reality. There are many dimensions within this reality, and those dimensions have different structures to them. In our reality, this is where we're living right now. So the matrix universe is basically what we are living in, or what we believe is real in this moment.
I have one listener who likes to tease me a little bit. His name is Adam. We call him Ad Gnome around here. So he's asking you a serious question about me. Says, Geraldine, is Dave a gnome?
Is Dave a gnome?
Yes.
I'm sure Dave has had a couple lives as a gnome. Sure, why not?
Oh, don't say that.
Lifetime.
Don't say that. Don't say. I hate those things. Scare me. Those things scare me. Geraldine, we only have about a minute left with you here. Please tell everybody where they can get a hold of you, find your videos, your website, etc.
Wonderful. You can get a hold of me at bayareameditation.com or sourceintegration.com. And I have a YouTube channel. Everything is there on my website, ready for you to access. And if you want a session with me to reprogram your DNA and assist you in leaving the reincarnation cycle, please feel free to ask me any question that you need. I am available. Add me on Facebook. And you can email me at info@bayareameditation.com or call 415-996-7116. I'm happy and here to serve. Thank you so much.
Geraldine, thank you so much. Your next appearance on this show will be in June on the 5th. June 5th. I look forward to it.
Excited to be here.
Me too. Geraldine, you hold on. Now we're going to go to a commercial break here. Hour number 3 coming up. And we got a little surprise for you. We are going to introduce our brand new Sunday host. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Moran, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We are lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to SpacedOutRadio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on spacedoutradio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you're seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at spacedoutradio.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Tyson Bannigan is going to join us. We are going to talk everything from self-healing to dowsing and so much more. Tyson will be speaking at the first annual Caribou Paracon this September 28th to 30th up here in the Great White North, which isn't so white right now. It's actually turning green around here. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live at spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, and you can check us out live on The Fringe FM. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Betrayquomancy. Betrayquomancy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night, right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twitter, Periscope TV. You can watch us live every Monday through Friday night. Hi, everyone on Periscope. Appreciate you tuning on in with us. We are also on Instagram and Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Don't forget our archives. We store them on YouTube. They are all free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. The only thing that we ask is you hit that little subscribe button. We would appreciate that. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bubblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read The Encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO Seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. Hour number 3, we have Tessa Nicole Thompson coming on in. I'm glad to introduce her because Tessa has been a good fan of this show for a number of months, about a year now. And she has also been helping out with Eric Cooper's S4. She has been helping out behind the scenes with Joe Roop on Lighting the Void and Spaced Out Saturdays. And we like to keep things in the fold here. So, with the opening of the Sunday night show, you know, we've been running replays for about 4 weeks now. We had to fill that position. And you know what? You always have to try and find the right person for that position. And in the position I'm in, with trying to keep control of everything and get the business side going, we needed to do something that I wanted to do. And that was, I thought it was extremely imperative to add a female voice. Elizabeth Anglin was absolutely fantastic for what she did. Absolutely fantastic when she was on the show. Unfortunately, Liz decided to leave Spaced Out Radio to pursue other interests, and it left us with a big, big void. So I'm asking the audience's patience as Tessa comes on in to host the Sunday night show. She's going to be broadcasting out of her home in Colorado. Tessa, welcome to the family.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave. I'm actually really excited.
Excited or nervous?
Both.
Well, the good part about it is you have a lot of people in the chat rooms who know you, so that should make life a little bit easier for you. But for the people who don't know you and the people who aren't in the chat rooms, explain how you got into the paranormal.
It all began when I was a very, very small child. Before I can even remember, my sister would tell me stories how we'd sit and play at the feet of this old guy who wore coveralls and would rock in the rocking chair as we played at his feet, but he was actually a ghost. And then I've had several other episodes since, supernatural and paranormal, like I think it's St. Elmo's Fireball or something like that, and then a spirit that showed herself a week before my mother passed and actually stopped in my doorway and looked at me and then looked back down the hallway and kept walking. And so, my mother passing and everything, I really, really took an interest in the paranormal, especially with my past experiences. And, I kind of stayed in the closet for quite a while because of fear of being judged, called crazy, a liar, etc. Even, my own family saying this to me. And in 2012, I finally came out of the paranormal closet, as I like to call it. Dylan Redwine went missing, and we knew right away his dad killed him. He's finally in jail, thank God, and he's supposed to go to trial in August. Finally, he's been pushing it for a while, but we went out to find answers from him, and he told us himself that his dad did do it, and then I found you guys later on sharing my page, Four Corners Paranormal Investigations, and the name Spaced Out Radio just resonated with me. I'm like, well, that totally explains me. So I had to check you guys out, and like Trip and Kat said, I was hooked from the get-go. Episode number 1, you couldn't get rid of me.
Well, we are very happy to have you part of the team. And, paranormally speaking, you do have a paranormal team, Four Corners Paranormal Investigations. Tell us about that.
Like I said, we started in 2012, and it started with my mentor, Kat. She passed away a couple years ago from cancer, and my friend Glow and Rhonda. After Kat passed, we kind of fell apart. A few of us moved away, and National Ghost Hunting Day was a big thing for us. We actually gained quite a few members through that, advertising, anybody want to come in and be a guest on our ghost hunt, etc., etc. And now we're a team about 15, 20, so we have to chop it up when we do cases, but it's been very interesting. We've done a lot of investigations and cleansings, and we also do investigations for fun, just to hone in our skills and learn how to use our tools and our intuition, gut instinct, etc. But it's been a really amazing experience, and it's so nice to be around people that are like-minded, who have had experiences as well. And our team is very integrated. We have so many different realms as far as pagans, Catholic, Christian, agnostic, whatnot. And it's very nice because we can cover many bases. But it's been a very nice experience, and we're still growing. So it's been hard because everybody wants to go on an investigation, cleansing, or hunt, and but we have to delve it up equally.
There's a lot of people in the Spreaker chat who are a little bit caught off guard by this because they're so used to you chatting. Now they're going to hear you on the show.
I know. It's going to be hard trying to do this and chat at the same time, and that's my favorite part, is chatting with my online radio family, which that's how I consider everybody on Spreaker. That's where I usually hang out. I've tried Periscope. I'll hang out there for a couple minutes, maybe 10, 15, but then I'll run back to Spreaker because that's my original Spaced Out Radio family. But yeah, I'm excited for this new venture.
Now, a lot of people are asking, is the show going to be named Cosmic Passport? No, it is not. That is Elizabeth Anglin's, and, when Elizabeth and I had our final conversation about her not doing the show anymore, she asked, what about the Cosmic Passport name? Elizabeth came up with that. I don't think it's fair for us to keep that around. So the Sunday show, it's going to be a little bit of a boring name, but just Spaced Out Sundays, because Joe has Spaced Out Saturdays, and we're just going to round it out. We're really going to round it out. And, with Tessa here, being a paranormal investigator, I think it's going to bring a little bit of a realm to the show, because we're going to continue on with a little bit of what Liz did, which is we will still have a reading show every month, maybe once every 2 weeks. It all depends. It's all on Tessa's call here, on the way we want to do it and the way she wants to do it, because she will have control of her show. But the big thing is, we want to have some continuity. I know Paisley Town has already said she would like to come back, and, it's going to be a little bit of a different flavor. Liz was more about the spiritual. She was very good at it. That was her brand. Tessa's going to come at this more from a paranormal investigation side. So there might be a few more ghost stories rather than alien stories and or spirituality, but we are going to all try and mix it on in. So Tess, maybe tell the listener what you see your show being.
I'd like it to be a lot of things. I do actually have a medium on my team who I want to bring in for the Psychic Sunday sort of thing. And when we go out on investigations, I actually pick up on a few more things than she does. So I think it'll be a great Sunday. I also want to cover Bigfoot because that's in our area a lot. Cryptids, like UFOs. We have so many, I have so many pictures from just outside in my front yard, facing up towards the moon or the sky. But yeah, there's so much I want to cover and, get to know my family better and take some live questions. I would love to do that and get to know everybody's take and hear their voice. That's a big part of getting to know people.
Do you want to do a lot more paranormal? Is there things you want to discuss on the paranormal side?
Well, I find a lot of comfort. I know that there's life on the other side, and that brings a lot of comfort to me. And, just teaching people different ways. Most likely, the most important part is respect. That's the key thing. And that's the number one thing you want to use when you go out. Because even though they're on the other side, they deserve respect and patience. It's hard for them to communicate from there. So it's good to delve into a bunch of different tools when you do investigate. But, that costs a lot of money as well. But, yeah, just the other side, the way they can communicate. One that I know personally is from my mother. She came to me in a dream after she had passed, and we met in the middle of this park that I knew, and she communicated to me that she was okay, everything's going to be okay, and told all my brothers and sisters, let them know I love them, and just different ways of communicating with people on the other side, and all the cool supernatural stuff that happens. There is electrical phenomena and stuff like that, and UFOs, UFO orbs, which I've had experience with. I haven't yet seen an alien, so I don't have my very own Carl, but yeah, I'm just really excited to get into so many topics, and I want to hear from, people in the chat room what they would like to hear as well. There's so many things out there. I'm learning something new every day, and I'd like to hear from them something that I haven't heard and study that and find a guest that can help us out on that topic.
It really is a crash course for you, and you're doing pretty good so far.
Yeah. I'm trying my hardest, but I don't want to let anybody down. But I think it's been pretty good so far.
There is a lot to learn, and a lot of people don't see what we do behind the scenes of the show. You have done some of that with working with Joe and helping him book guests. You're now having to learn the system. From what you are seeing so far, how different is it from the audience side to behind the scenes side?
Oh, it is so hectic. I mean, you put out all these emails and everything, hoping to get an answer back, and sometimes you'll wake up in the morning and have 2 or 3, and sometimes it'll be a week or so before you hear anything, and it's really stressful but rewarding, and I really enjoy doing it and helping you and Joe out, and it's been a great learning experience. And then transferring the YouTube, like over here where I'm at, my internet is only like 12 megabytes per second, or maybe it's gigabytes per second. And then I went to Phoenix for Christmas vacation, and I got like 3 or 4 months done in 2 days. So that was pretty cool. I got that done, and I was able to tell you, Merry Christmas, Dave, I got your YouTube done. But it is a lot of work and a lot of patience and a lot of trying not to freak out about, is your guest going to show, because you haven't heard anything from them until the day you're going to air. It's been pretty hectic, but like I said, it's really rewarding, and I love what you guys are doing, spreading the word, spreading information about all these different realms and different areas of the paranormal, alien, and supernatural. It's been pretty awesome.
Well, you know what? What's the biggest thing you have learned so far behind the scenes that you didn't know or understand?
Just all the work that goes into it. You kind of think about it and get a certain perspective, but once you really step your foot in there, you really don't realize how stressful it is. And I know Joe spent like most of his waking hours doing this, and I'm sure you do the same. It's a labor of love.
I understand a labor of love, but the audience may not understand. Paint us a picture of how hectic it is for the audience to learn what we actually do behind the scenes from trying to put the show together, because they haven't seen the setups or the conversations that you and I have been going through in order to get you ready.
Okay. Well, going from the booking coordinator side, I wake up first thing in the morning and I check my emails, and then I'll go on my A list or my secondhand list, and I'll send out emails or confirmations depending on where they're at on the calendar, and I try to fill it from this date to the latest, hoping to fill in all the gaps until the later gap. With you and I, what we've been doing, the whole YouTube thing, the falling out with your buddy and everything, and trying to get everything legal, I just didn't want to disappoint, so I was downloading, then uploading and posting, basically publishing it, going one by one, doing it that way. I couldn't get too many here, because if I did any more than 8 or 10, it would fail to do so. But like I said, in Phoenix, I got a nice Christmas break because I was able to do 3 or 4 months and get that done. And then you have to read your scripts, practice them, listen to your own voice, which is kind of difficult, and then record and hope to get a good track going. And then you have to publish that or edit like you do with your music. You put the music to the vocals and have to put these in a certain track. It's a lot of work. But I think we're doing a great thing for everybody out there, our paranormal and radio family. I don't know, I didn't paint any pretty trees or mountains or the sunrise or sunset. But to me, that's what it's been, and trying to get the kids to behave while you do it all. It kind of drives you a bit wacky.
It is a very, very difficult situation and big shoes to step on in. What kind of pressure do you feel?
Right now, I'm just hoping I don't let anybody down. I'm not really worried about my intros or anything like that. I'm worried about asking the right questions, which I'm sure as I'm conversing with the guest, it'll come to me. And of course, I'm going to do my homework in the first place and, see what kind of questions I should be answering. But you can't plan something like this out. You have to kind of shoot from the hip, like in the Old West, and make sure you're asking the right ones, and of course, read the chat box and see what everybody is asking and ask their questions as well.
When you look at topics and the guests that you want to bring onto your show, what are you looking to bring? What are you looking to solve? Are there questions that you have that maybe you haven't heard from myself or other shows you've listened to that you really feel need to be asked?
Well, you guys have covered so much, but I'm hoping to find answers not only for myself, but for everyone in the chat, especially when it comes to the Psychic Sundays with Paisley and my medium. Her name is Mia, and she is so awesome. Hoping to answer questions from the other side for people, because that's what holds us back a lot is our mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or aunt and uncle, whoever is most important to you, brother or sister, are they okay? Are they suffering? Have they moved on to the other side? That's a big one. UFOs are pretty huge too. I didn't really think about UFOs until I was about 13 years old, and we were having a yard sale. My dad had this book that he was selling, and I saw it, and I was like, no way are you selling this. I have to see what this is. And he had always talked about things like that. He wasn't around a lot when I was a kid, but he came back about the age of 13, and he had a lot to say about it. He's not here anymore. But yeah, that's a big question, especially since I've seen some here off my property, as well as in town Durango at the fairgrounds. I saw a mothership that was the biggest alien ship that I had ever seen. And we had looked at that for hours. It just sat there in the same place, rotating and gyrating different directions, and it actually even formed into a U. But I've learned from you guys there's more than one or two races. There's tons of races, and so just learning more stuff about that and what exactly they're doing here. Like somebody asked earlier, are we food, or are they spawning us, or are we already hybrids? Like, what's going on? So I like to find out more about that, and just different things that plague us and keep us from sleeping or keep us from concentrating on our everyday tasks. I'd like to learn these things, you know, not only for myself, but for everyone in the chat room.
Let's talk about your own paranormal experiences. What's an experience that you've had that absolutely tripped you out?
I would say the biggest one was after my mom had passed away, and then we had moved to Miami, Florida, and my dad sent us back to be with our grandma and grandpa back in Pettigrew, Arkansas. And I was staying in my mom's old room, and my little brother was staying in her brother's room. They only had a 3-bedroom house, even though they had like 13 kids. But one night, I've always had issues sleeping, and my dad always taught me, say, God stands before me, Satan will fall behind, and that actually did help with my nightmares. But I always had issues getting to sleep, and one night I'm laying there just staring at my ceiling, thinking about different things, and I all of a sudden see a light coming in through my bedroom window, and we're out in the middle of BFE, and there's no neighbors for at least 5 miles, and outside my window is the chicken yard. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I can see shadows, and then I hear chanting and like drums beating, and I creep down the wall to the window at the end of my bed, and I see these little things that look to me like gremlins, but their ears aren't so pronounced, and their skin is very shiny, and they're dancing around the fire, and they're beating on their drums, ones that have drums. Some had like staffs with like spears on the end or whatnot, and I just peeked for just a second, and then I ran or scurried back under my blankets and pulled the blankets over at least to my nose, like right below my eyes. And I could see the shadows getting bigger, like they had sensed me or somebody might have seen me. But I just laid as still as I could, and then they went away. Later on that night, as I'm sleeping, I'm having this dream that my bed is tilting, the head of it tilting up and the base tilting down, and at the end of my bed is an open hole, and there's fire, and you can smell the sulfur, brimstone, whatever you'd like to call it, and the only thing keeping me from falling in is tucking my thumbs under the baseboard of my bed, which today, you know, they're pretty big, but back in the day they were below your mattress. So I'm putting my thumb in there, trying not to fall in, and I wake myself up, and I'm at the end of my bed, and my blankets are messed up, which is weird for me. I always stay in the same spot because I don't want anything to get me. And I'm thinking about this dream and how messed up it was. And then I feel somebody looking at me, and I smell smoke, but it's not the same smoke I smelled before. It was like a cigar smoke. And I slowly look over into my doorway, and I didn't have a door. I had like a lace curtain that was tied back. And there's this man standing there in my doorway. I can see this dark figure of a man. He almost fills the whole doorway. And he lifts up the cigar and takes a puff off of it, and I can see his face and his upper body. And he's wearing like this really nice tuxedo suit, and his hair is slicked back. It looked dark to me, but it was dark, so it could make even blonde hair look dark. But he was the most gorgeous man I had ever seen. But I knew in my heart and my gut that he was pure evil, that he was the devil. And a lot of people will say, you know, the devil won't present himself, but when he's looking for a bride, he will. But I said to myself, not even out loud, in my head, I said, God stands before me, Satan fall behind. And immediately, like that, I was knocked out. Years later, as our family was brought back together, I told my story of that and how the kobolds is what I call them. I learned later that's what they were called, the ones that were dancing around the fire. They used to chase my brother up and down the house every night, and he'd run to the back door, back through the kitchen, and we had this tiny little inch-tall step going from the kitchen into the wood stove area where all the dry goods were kept, and he'd trip every night and scurry and get away. And the last night, my grandparents held him, and he kind of collapsed in their arms, and I couldn't see the entities, but after that, he never had those nightmares anymore. So I assume they got him, and he refuses to talk about it. But ever since then, he can't help but not, get in trouble. But my dad had told me when we reunited years later that my mother had the same experience, but he was actually right next to her bed, and they had a full lengthy discussion, God knows what, and I just kind of find comfort in the fact that he's getting further away, because he was by my mom's bed, and then he was in my doorway, and I've told my kids about it because I want them to be educated and not know what's going on. And they know, God stands before me, Satan fall behind, or building your shield, starting from a ball of light and making your own protective bubble. And, you have to have great faith and believe that you are stronger than anything out there, no matter how much it wants you to believe that you're not. But that to me was my biggest, scariest paranormal experience. The rest of them were a fraction as scary. And to me, it's really not scary anymore, because I understand that we're all going to be ghosts someday. And like I said earlier, I find comfort in the fact that there is something more to life after death. You're not just in a dark box in a hole being eaten by worms, So, yeah, that was my creepiest, scariest one.
Do you find that there is a big difference in the experiences between, say, ghostly apparitions to UFOs or any type of cryptid like Bigfoot?
I do. And I've heard people speak about skinwalkers like they're cryptid, which they're not. They're like an old source of magic. It could be dark, because generally you have to take a life to be that. But if you're born and your mother dies during your birth, then you can be a skinwalker as well. So you don't always have to be the dark figure doing that. Those aren't cryptids. Those are magic, old magic, thousands of years old. I believe ghosts are different than aliens. There's intelligent ghosts, and then there's just recordings of ghosts. And, there are those that can communicate with you, and there's the residual that, just plays like a recording at certain times. It could be at, a specific time for them, like when the actual thing happened to them, or it could just like kick up because of activity or energy that's in the house. And aliens, I think those are a totally different being from a different realm. To think that we're the only intelligent life in this universe would be ignorant. And I do believe that there's aliens looking out for us, and I do believe that there's aliens out there who don't have our better outcome in mind. They'd like to just take over. But I believe the ones that are looking out for us are actually doing a great job of it. They're even somewhat protecting ourselves from ourselves, as far as shooting down nukes that have been sent out, or different missiles, etc. Even shutting down power plants that are nuclear powered, or even government sites where they'll shut stuff down there too. As far as security, I think they're just trying to spread the message that we do have power over you, and you're not the higher power, because we are pretty egotistical, and we do think we are. A lot of us do, who aren't educated in this form, do think we're the most intelligent life in this universe. And like I said before, I think that's ignorant to think that there's obviously something out there that's got a higher power, especially, you know, in their thinking as well as their mechanical ways of life. Like, they have ships that can move so fast and not kill the being inside. It's pretty amazing.
Is there ever an encounter or a story that you've heard from someone close to you that just gave you the shivers?
Yeah, my sister, she's had run-ins with dark entities as well. And she has described, like, a being on top of her, and she could, like, touch it, and it had like a scaly back. And she knew something was happening to her, but she didn't know exactly quite sure what it was. The closest I came to that was a dark entity in my room that was darker than dark. And there was no windows in this room. We were in a clubhouse for band members who were playing at the bar, and we were just settling down for an afternoon nap, getting ready for the evening, and he appeared there, and I had only experienced sleep paralysis once before this, but I could not move. I could not, slap my husband and let him know something was going on. And he spoke to me in my mind, telepathically, and said, "I want you." And I told him in my mind, "You can't have me." And he laughed, and when he did, his mouth opened, and his teeth actually, like, glowed. It was like a glimmery white, sharp smile. It was very scary, and you could see, like, stuff dripping off of it. And he reached down and kissed me forcefully, and when he did, the electric shock went up through my canine teeth, in through my brain, and out through the rest of my body. And at that point, I could actually finally kick my feet. So I'm flapping my feet as fast as I can, like, and trying to scream, and I can hear it in my head, but I'm not sure if it's coming out, maybe in a, like, some sort of muffled scream. And then finally my husband woke up and saw it, and it disappeared right away. And that scared me to death. Like, the next day, going to work in Durango, we were in Farmington that night, driving back to Durango to work at the portrait studio. I looked in my rearview mirror to see if it's in my back seat or even attached to the back of my car, chasing me. But yeah, my sister's experience kind of kicked in that memory. But yeah, having this reptilian, like, demonic sort of entity on you, basically raping you, that to me is very scary. And a lot of stories that I hear about being abducted by aliens, that freaks me out quite a bit as well, because nobody wants to be abducted. And I know they give you that sense that it's okay and you're not hurting, when in fact you are. And maybe that's why S&M and all this other stuff is going to a hiatus, is because we're learning that pain is pleasure. And I don't know, it's really weird, and I'd like to learn a lot more. I'd like to learn something more every day, and just having these new guests on and hearing everybody's experiences, I think, would be very helpful in learning a lot from these entities that are out there.
What topics are you eager to get into, the subjects? Is there any creatures that you want to learn about from certain guests?
I haven't seen one, but I went up to Rico, where our security team was, and there was something throwing big boulders down the side of a mountain. So I went up there with my team, Rico, Colorado. We stayed at the Enterprise and investigated there the day and night before, and then we went up to this old mine, and a couple of my crew went off rock hunting, which was kind of irritating. Like, that's not what we're here for, but okay. But I went further, about 50 yards or so, and I was able to find Bigfoot tracks And I'm really bummed I didn't have any plaster cast or anything with me, or even flour or pancake batter. I was so not prepared. All I had was my video camera and my still camera. But I found some Bigfoot tracks up there, and then we went back down to the Enterprise Bar and Grill in Rico, Colorado, and we're telling our story about what we found up there. And this lady came up and was like, my daughter and I saw this Bigfoot across the way, and she showed me this clearing in the aspen trees, and she said it was albino, and it walked across this stretch of land, and it wasn't in a rush or anything. It's so far away, probably 3,000 yards or something, but you can see it because it's up on this mountain. But Bigfoot is a big one for me. I'd like to learn more about that. I'd like to learn more about skinwalkers, because natives are pretty hush-hush about it. They don't want to give any energy to it. A lot of them don't even speak about their dead after they're gone. I'd like to learn more about those aliens. Like I said before, why are they here? What are they doing? Are we food, or are we an experiment? Or, and there's even remote viewing. I'd like to hear more about that. Astral travel, which I don't want to try it because I'm afraid something's going to take over my body before I get back. But I'd like to hear about other people's experiences and, telepathy. There's so many different things. I can't even list them all that I'd like to do, but those are a few that I'd like to start with.
We only got a few more minutes here before we have to go to tonight's Thought of the Day. When you get on the air and you start broadcasting your show, how do you want it to feel for you? How do you want it to go?
I want it to feel good and positive, and I want to brighten everybody's day. I know life is hard, and a lot of people say this is hell on earth, but I'd like to bring a little light and love to everyone's day, and, spread the information that I can get, whatever guests I can get going. And, I just like to make their day better, because I know it's so hard, and this is like a little escape, a little getaway, because that's what it is, for me. It gives me time to chat with my family in the chat room and listen to all the different information going on out there. I can't tell you how much I've learned since I've started listening to your show. You're a wealth of knowledge. Your guests are awesome, and I always feel better after I do listen. Helps me sleep a little better.
Well, we definitely try to do that. I mean, it is an important part of what we do on a nightly basis, and the communication with the audience is so important. And I think it'll be comfortable for you, because for a lot of the people in the chat rooms, you already know them. How much does that comfortability mean?
It's very important. I hope they're comfortable with me. I know we're comfortable in the chat room, but it's one thing chatting with someone online and chatting in person. Some of us get a little bit of social anxiety from our experiences, and I hope to be able to come out clear and have a great show and teach something to someone that they want to know, or something that they've always wondered, and teach myself as well. But yeah, I'm hoping that the chat, not only online but live, will go great.
Are you ready? Do you think you're ready? Can we go with
this? I think
this?
so. Do you think I'm ready?
Well, we got a little bit more work, but I think we got the right choice. Put it that way.
That's good to hear. That makes me feel better.
One of the things that always comes across with any change of programming is, how will it sound? How can you comfort your new listeners to keep them here?
I'm going to try to keep up in the chat room as best I can while I'm speaking with the guests. I know right now, you're always on fire with questioning, and I'm not really good at typing when I talk because it doesn't come through right, but I'm hoping to keep them around by having a good topic and a good conversation and giving them some good positive advice. There's, like I said, a lot of scary stuff out there. You know, life is hard, but, you know, I'm hoping to pat it a little bit and give them a virtual hug. You know, that's my virtual family.
Well, you just make it yours. That's the big thing. You make it yours because in the end, you know, you're the one having to do the show. It has to be Tessa's show. It cannot be Dave's show. It can't be a spaced out radio show. You have to make it your own, and that will give it its key little, you know, flowers in a nice vase on the kitchen counter. It'll give us that nice zen and chi if you make it yours rather than trying to copy someone else's show. So always remember that. Make it yours.
I will. I'll hug it and love it and give it a name and and share it with my friends.
Well, I think some of the audience members actually want to name it because Elizabeth had Cosmic Passport, you know, Psychic Sundays and Cosmic Passport. I think you're going to get some interest there where a lot of people may all of a sudden try and name your show for you. Maybe you should have a game about that.
Yeah, maybe we should do a poll and see what everybody has to say and see what their input is on it, and you know, maybe it'll go one direction and maybe it'll stay this way, but that would be interesting to see what everybody thinks.
All right.
What their input in on is it.
Go ahead, finish up.
Oh, I was just saying what their input on it is. That would be great to hear, you know, because it's not just our show, it's their show, and so that'd be nice to hear what their idea on it is.
Mm-hmm.
Adam says gnome show.
No, we're not going with gnomes. Adam, you know what? I got to tell a quick story about Adam, okay?
Okay.
All right? He just got me in a whole heap of trouble, and he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. All right? And he's probably sitting back laughing right now. Now, Adam, for those of you listeners out there, we call him Adnome around here because everything he does is about bugging me about my fear of gnomes. So he's even changed his name from Adam to Adnome. I mean, that's how sick and twisted this guy is. Anyhow, our investor who is coming into Spaced Out Radio and working behind the scenes with us, I used to call him a gnome and a troll all the time because we would bug the living heck out of each other in our early days when we first were hanging out and partying all the time. And he decides tonight to tune into the show. And I'm going to read the text message from him right now. And Adnome, this is all because of you. So, Mr. Investor tunes in. He goes, just tuned in for a moment to someone asking if you were a gnome. Love it. How the tables have turned. I said, you are a sick bastard. He goes, some beautiful timing, or pardon me, so beautiful. Timing is everything. Talk to you Wednesday. Thanks, Adnome. Thanks, Adnome. I appreciate that. The one time I actually give credence to your question and my investor hears it and is bugging the living daylights out of me. I appreciate that. Thought of the Dave coming up right now.
Wait for the creepy clown music.
Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time where we ask a question during the day. On my Facebook, it transfers over to our Twitter page, and we read your responses online. So today's Thought of the Day, because we had Geraldine Orozco on for the first 2 hours of the show, is, how do you spiritually cleanse yourself from negativity? That is a tough one. I ground myself. I personally will have a very hot shower. Try and breathe in, breathe out. I find a very safe spot in my house, and that happens to be where my studio is. So if I'm feeling stressed out or I'm feeling negative, I come where it is positive. I come to this place and I get to work. It's something that changes the focus of my mind. Tessa, how about you? What do you do to cleanse yourself from any spiritual negativity?
Well, I like to sage, and I like to carry tourmaline on me. Selenite is also good, and prayer. Depending on what your faith is, I like to pray. And before I go into a hairy situation, whether or not I know it's hairy, if I'm going into a new place to do a cleansing for someone, I'll always call on St. Michael because he's never let me down. And the one time I didn't, it really was not good. So always protect yourself, not only after, but before. And then there's also meditation or grounding that you can do. And all these things help. And there's also like salt baths you can do if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, for me, sage is big. I like Palo Santo, which is AKA Holy Wood, tourmaline and selenite, and prayer. For me, that's what I do. But different strokes for different folks.
The Ukrainian watermelon, Ron Moniak, says, I just let my wife sleep. That is funny. That is absolutely funny. You know, it's always better to be safe than sorry. That is very, very true. Thank you, Ron, for that. Let's hear what other of our listeners said today. Chris stated, tell it to go away. That's simple. And quit talking or thinking about it. Give it no energy at all. Really, that's a true statement. Probably the bravest statement of it all is when we dwell on things, Tessa, it really seems to bring it out and keep it there internally, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's very important to stay positive and know in your heart of hearts and in your gut that you are more powerful than any entity out there. And believe that. Don't ever let your faith in yourself crack. Always stay positive and in tune. You're more powerful than it.
Let's go to Twitter for a couple. Hilto says, meditation and or video games. Once again, it's taking those thoughts away from the mind, trying to do something positive to redirect the signals into something that makes you happy. James has a way to get happy, along with Chris from Den of Lore. Scotch. Just that simple. Scotch. Gregory on Twitter, avoid it as much as possible. Of course, if you don't avoid it, you're not going to be able to do it. The Yeti guy on Twitter, sex. Well, of course, that cures everything. What doesn't sex cure? We can just leave that one right there. we can leave that one there. Sky Pilot, Captain Morgan. And let's go. Well, there's a lot of people who like to intoxicate themselves. Jake says, yes, it's called whiskey. Thank you, Jake, on Twitter. Appreciate that. And let's go over to Facebook. We got Shoshana, sage, or an anti-negativity bath. What the heck is an anti-negativity bath? I really don't know.
Like a salt bath.
Is that what that is?
You use sea salt or Himalayan salt.
Okay.
Sea salt is the best, but yeah, you mix it with your water, and that's your anti-negativity bath. Mm-hmm. You can even put some jasmine or something like that in there for a pretty smell. But
interesting. I never knew that. I really didn't know that. Barry states, smudge with silver leaf sage.
White sage, yes.
That sounds expensive. Tim, get rid of a negative influences in my life. That's true. If we just drew a line, you know, like I got hammered. I had 2-3 people block me over those dog postings that I did, the dog abuse postings. Go back on my profile on Facebook and you could all check it out. It's right there. Like 3 people recently blocked me because I refused to put those videos on. So apparently I am some sort of real son of a gun who is doing that. Like, the nerve of me. How dare I block We're blocking you because you will not put animal abuse videos on your profile. Shame on
How
you,
dare
Dave.
you?
I got called
How dare you, Dave?
I got called an a-hole, a coward. Oh yeah, I got called a lot of names. So I had to snark back. Of course I did.
Mm-hmm.
Chris,
yeah, you got to defend yourself.
exactly. Chris in Washington State says grounding and shielding, negativity out, positive in, and protection from the negative. Matthew in Ontario, turn off Facebook for a few hours and either go for a motorcycle ride or work in my garden. Smith Farms is great. Working in the garden is a lot of fun. Jake?
It's very therapeutic.
It is. Especially if you do it barefoot. Like if you have a good garden where you know there's like no glass in there from the previous owners of your house. You know, like today, I needed some therapy. I went and trimmed some hedges. That felt good to me. Some dead branches on my hedges. That felt good.
Well, you know, going barefoot helps you ground, so
yes, it
that's
does.
a great way.
And there's something about soil, raw, like it's like sand. You get a nice soil on your feet. It does. It feels good. I mean, you just got to watch out for the dog poo in the backyard because you don't want to use that soil. But nonetheless, you know, I could totally see where that works. Let's get to Alexandra. She says, I think your state of mind in general will attract or repel negative energy. It's also a matter of low barriers to entry or being overly emotionally vulnerable that makes you more likely to pick up on that type of thing. Acting from a place of confidence and mastery versus fear is important. If achieving this through ritual is helpful, then go for it. The lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram can be helpful for people messing around with the occult to learn as sort of a safety, but I don't know what that is necessarily the way to do it if you're worried about that type of thing. Now, Alexandra is part of Pacific North Weird, and they are just fantastic. Fantastic show, Pacific North Weird. So thank you, Alexandra. Some people are saying marijuana. Some people are saying crystals. You know, nothing like a little hippie lettuce to get things going. Not gonna lie. Davey doesn't do it, but Davey sure enjoys the smell. That's for sure. Michelle states, stand in the shower and let the water wash over you and imagine the water washing away your troubles down the plug leaves you feeling very refreshed. That I agree with. A hot shower always does it. Hot shower always does it for me. All right, let's move on here. Grant states, I try to maintain my perspective and positivity, but always looking at the positive. I control my reactions and my self-determination. As a high school special needs teacher for many years, I will always strive to instill a can-do ethic to those around me. And you know what? He is right. Positivity works so well on this, don't you believe?
Yeah, you have to stay positive. Your mind can mess with you, and you just got to learn how to rewire yourself. Try to stay positive. If you feel like you're going to get angry or say something out of line, stop, breathe, count, and change your reaction. And in time, you'll change your wiring, and you will become a more positive person. But it can be really hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That it can. Thank you so much, Tessa, for being on the show in hour number 3. I'm excited for you. I'm very much excited for you.
Thanks, Dave. I'm really excited too. And I'm excited to see where this goes. And I hope that it goes great. I'm going to stay positive.
Exactly. You hold on, Tessa. I'm going to wrap things up here. Tessa Nicole Thompson, our brand new host on Spaced Out Sundays. We're going to hopefully get her up and running by this Sunday. If that's too quick, it'll be the following Sunday for sure. We're going to try and get her in there. You know, we want to get her back on the air. We got to get that show going. It has been a little bit of a thorn in our side, but we're pretty darn close. Pretty darn close, nonetheless. We also want to say a big thank you to Geraldine Orozco, who came on for the first 2 hours of The Spiritual You, talking about energy, talking about intuition, talking about extraterrestrials, hybridization. We can go anywhere with Geraldine. BayAreaMeditation.com is her website to check it out. Tomorrow night on the program, we have Tyson Bannigan coming on in. We are going to be talking about dowsing, healing, and getting in touch with yourself a little bit clearer. It's going to be a great show starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. We love rocking the Little Brother is Watching. A big thank you to all of you listening at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be, including you, Uncle Bob. Still love it when you intro me, my friend. Hope you're doing well in your hospital bed. Big shout out to everybody at Twitter at hashtag SpacedOutRadio, Spreaker, on Periscope, in the chat room there, and the veterans in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. We got a lot of things coming up here. We're working some very long days. We thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing your show. Thank you for bringing in new listeners each and every day, because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. See you tomorrow, guys. Good night.